because I can't see what's going on.
Okay, Martin, congratulations on this great tapestry. How did you decide to do this project in the first place?
Well, a very long time ago, nearly 30 years by now, I read the Mabinogion for the first time, and the image that particularly grabbed me was that of Peredur and this magic valley where the sheep are changing colour. And I just had to do that at some stage. And then I did a little test piece of the flames with the tree and thought, oh, well, I'll do it later. And 30 years later, now I've stopped teaching, I've got time to do it, and I've finally got around to it.
So tell us a little bit about all the various bits of inspiration and thought that you've drawn on to do this tapestry. The huge, wide tradition that you have in your brain and all the research you've done in the past. Draw out 2 or 3 of the really interesting things that you've actually put into this tapestry.
Well, the main inspiration is medieval tapestries, which are very pictorial and they have lots going on. One of the particular characteristics is the mille fleurs, where you have thousands of flowers, not literally, but I have quite a few flowers because of that tradition as well. And the content of these is very much using our local landscapes. So it's the local valley, it's the local sheep, well, the sheep are actually Kerry and Black Welsh Mountain. And the flowers are all growing either within our garden or within 30 miles of here. And the trees are again natural, native British species. So we've got beech, oak, ash, and Scotch pine. And as part of this magic style to it, the flowers on the left are all fairly neutral, but the flowers on the dark side where the black sheep are, quite a few of those have got poisonous natures. So I've sort of have a light side and a dark side. Mm-hmm. So there's sort of hidden messages within it as well. Yeah.
Now, Martin, you've been in the weaving business now for many, many years. You've travelled widely. In all the years that you've travelled the world and you've actually collected tapestries and designs, which of the traditions have you been most gobsmacked, impressed by?
Oh, that's a really difficult question. In terms of weaving, I think Peru has the most amazing weaving culture. But equally, we visited Nagaland a couple of years ago now in India, and they have an amazing ability, and the work that they do is quite fascinating. And further south in India, there's also a lot of ikat, which is a subject I particularly was interested in. Was fortunate to get a Churchill Travelling Fellowship to visit Central Asia. So there's that as well. Central Asia is a fascinating area.
Yeah. And so what are your hopes for weavers like yourself around the world? Because obviously, we're all under threat, but in terms of globalization and manufacturing and imitations, cheap imitations, etc. What's your hope for the future for master weavers like yourself?
Well, it's very kind of you to call me a master weaver.
Or a magic weaver, yeah.
I think the particular element on it is that it's handmade, that every little move is made by hand, and in this case I've dyed all the colours as well. So it's a totally unique one-off. There are some very skilled work going on. Grace and Perry's tapestries, for instance, are an amazing collaboration between him and the technology that does it, but it still doesn't have quite the same ring as the traditional tapestry, though I admire it very much. So it's important to try and keep these skills up, which is being done very well in Edinburgh with the Dovecot and in Sussex with the West Dean Tapestry School.
And here in Wales, apart from your great self and the snail trail here, who else is doing interesting work in Wales?
There are quite a few hand weavers. We're scattered fairly well around the country. In terms of tapestry, the only one that I know in particular is Alistair Duncan in Swansea. So I can't really say about that.
And is he meant to be coming here today, is he?
He's supposed to be coming at about 2:30.
Excellent. We'll try to capture his thoughts when he comes. Last point on on the dyes, you mentioned the dyes. The colours look so absolutely tremendously vivid. Tell us a little bit about how you've sourced the dyes and how you've used them.
Well, traditional tapestries, obviously, in the medieval times, were using natural dye stuffs, which do fade, but then synthetic dyes do as well. In my case, doing natural dyeing would have just doubled the amount of time it would have taken, and it's very difficult to get the extremely bright colours. You can do it. I use synthetic dyes, so I use acid dyes. They give me a good range of colours, and you can, with skill, you can tint them and adjust the colour balance so that it can be bright or not so bright, or mellow, depending on what you want. So I've got absolute control of the colour.
Good. The last question, what are your aspirations for this particular piece of art? Where would you like it to go? What would you like people to remember this art by? Where do you see its future?
Well, it's very much a Welsh piece because it features the Mabinogion. It has Welsh language on the top as well. I would hope to see it in some major gallery in Wales for preference. The scale of it means that it has to be in a big place. So it's open. I'm open to offers.
Good. On that note, thank you very much.